Okay, everyone. Hello and welcome in. So, today on VTubing My Slow Life Hobbies in My 30s, we're going to be making a signboard to hold my National Wildlife Certified Wildlife Habitat sign that I got. I like this thing. It's a nice thing to have because, well, my current one is kind of doing a little worse for wear. So today we're going to make a signboard to help support this. We're also going to be working on the post for it, amongst other things. I do want to say, for those who may have tuned in the past, whatever, I'm actually working with 2 mics now. So I have like an absolute. I have a mic picking up the tool sounds that go burr that I like, and then I also have a mic for just me. So if at any point there's like some feedback on the mic stuff, feel free to let me know. I'd appreciate it. So in addition to this being what we're doing today, I will also say that today is actually going to be a simple build. This is not going to be overly complicated. I'm not trying to go too far outside my comfort zone here, because the actual signboard that I'm going to put this on is going to consist of 4 boards supported by 2 posts. And we are going to get the post cut to length, all that stuff. So it's going to be... Today's actually going to be a really simple, straightforward build as far as build streams go. This is like probably going to be the most bare bones, minimal build. But hey, sometimes it's easy to do something nice. But yeah, one of the nice things is about the new having 2 mics is I can actually speak when I'm like walking around the shop, which I'm really looking, because that's also kind of like one of the other things about the stream is it's supposed to be an experiment for me for like the dual mic setup. So I have in my hands here my old sign. And this is what the old sign currently looks like. It doesn't look like it's having a good time, does it? And this is the reason why we're doing what we're doing here today, is to replace this thing with this thing. Because this thing, holy smokes, looks a lot better. It looks a lot better than just like some sign that you could just stick in your yard like a political sign. But granted, I do like the fact that the back side of the sign, which I actually forgot about, has the rules that I need to abide by in order to have a wild yard. And let's see here. So we've got ordinance, so the landscape must be set back at least 5 feet from property lines, with certain exceptions. Cut back or mow landscape per year in addition to ongoing maintenance. Rule 2. I don't know if I should. I don't know. And then landscapes must be clearly defined by edging or at least 2 feet of mowed and maintained grass. And landscape must not extend into public right-of-way. Rule 4. Rule 5. Sign must be placed in a location seen by the public, indicating the presence of a managed natural landscape. This is the primary reason what we're doing here today, is rule number 5. Rule number 5 is the big reason why we're here today, is to have a sign. And managed natural landscapes must not include turf grass, left unattended, and noxious weeds as defined by the Kentucky revised statute are not allowed. And then there's like a fun list of noxious weeds, which I'm definitely not a fan of. Granted, there are weeds on here I actually have to worry about because they easily propagate where I'm at. Of the list, I think honeysuckle's the one I worry about the most. Yeah, because the list includes Johnson grass, giant foxtail, Canada and nodding thistles, multiflora rose. I do have to. Birds do like to plant multiflora rose. Next up is kudzu. Don't have any kudzu. Poison hemlock, mare's tail, or honeysuckle. Have to worry about that. Japanese knotweed, and common tessel. So, honeysuckle is definitely the most prevalent invasive in my neck of the woods, and I have to walk through the yard occasionally and pull it out, regrettably. In addition, I also have to deal with a reasonable amount of poison ivy from time to time, because, yeah, yay, poison ivy, fun stuff. So, we have this. I have an area on my workbench, which I have to avoid at all costs, almost. I'm still in the middle of trying to get my woodworker vise attached to my bench top, and I've had some issues with that. And part of the solutions is I've got a whole bunch of wood glue on my bench top, like literally right here, right underneath where my hand is. So I'm gonna have to really be watching that during today's stream. But yeah, you can see I got a board here. This is kind of just a sample board, if you will. This is kind of the wood we're going to be working with. This is going to be the main stuff for the project. This is going to be the cedar for the project. I think I should probably turn the gang up a little bit better. Okay. So this is mostly what we're going to be working with. And I'm thinking for this project, we'll have two boards, one here, one here. And then our sign will basically sit within these two boards. And then to connect the two boards together, we're going to have two boards like, here's a scrap piece of pine for demonstration purposes. We'll have that sitting here like that. And then that'll be on the back. And that's basically what we're going to do today. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward stuff. These pine boards are 6 inches long. So for my backing pieces, I'm going to want, which is actually what I'm hoping to use out of this piece of scrap. Oh yeah, this piece of scrap is like near perfect. This piece of scrap is like near perfect. So we're going to go ahead and we'll do a little bit of marking here. Because I want to get a, hey you, because I want to get a 1 foot, because I actually want to get 2 1-foot pieces out of this. And then those 1-foot pieces will go on the back. And I have a magic speed square. And then the magic speed square is going to help me find my line. Well, help me strike my line across. Ta-da! Well, wait. You can kind of see it a little bit better there. So we're just going to line this up. Find that spot. And time for saw noises. Okay. So it looks like it's not cutting fully through, which is a semi-regular issue, but the thing that normally causes the issue isn't. It's actually not doing what I normally think. So, okay, I'm just not gonna worry about it because I still get a board at the end of the day. So, let's check our board. Okay, so we're a little bit shorter than a foot, but that's fine. So what I want to do for board number 2 is we're gonna roughly line up board 1 with board 2. And then that's gonna give us an edge here. And then it's on that edge, we're gonna scribe our line. Because really, the thing I'm most concerned about is having these be equal. Because these are going to go on the back. These are going to be what hold the boards we cut later together. So. I'm just going to set this here. And then we're going to cut this piece off. Okay. Done. We have 2 boards and a small piece of scrap. Sweet, sweet, wonderful scrap. And scrap's going to go off to the side. So, oh, that's why. I was like, why is it not sitting flush? But actually, wow, pretty decently flush on both sides. So, good job. And I have magic glue to avoid. So, now that we've got 2 of our boards cut the length, I have to do a very hard part, and that's grab a post. And I'm hydrating for this, because this post is heavy. And here's our post. So, this is basically what is a 4x4 of Eastern Red Cedar. And it's approximately 8 feet long of wood. It's a fairly decent amount of wood. So I've got to find a center line, and then once I find the center line, we can cut the center line. We'll have, and then out of this one piece of what's basically an 8-foot 4x4 in standard dimensions. It's actually 3.5 by 3.5. We can then do another thing. And granted, one of my ends down there. Okay, fine. We'll do it this way, because I got a better edge on this edge. Because I've got, so this thing is actually 2 inches longer than 8 feet. So at 4 feet 1 inch is going to be my roughly halfway mark, which is down here. Ah! Grab my square. And now I have a line that denotes my center. So, since this is so thick, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go ahead, start my first pass, not go all the way through, do a pass. Then I'll go a little bit deeper, and then I'll probably try to do this in 3 passes, is the game plan. So, let's see what we can do. Perfect! Absolutely wonderful separation here. So, we have now turned our 1 piece of lumber into 2 pieces of lumber. And now that I've got nice finishings on 2 ends, on the other ends, we're actually gonna change this all over to we're gonna basically do a bevel cut at my rough ends. So I got rough end 1 here, rough end 2 is over on the other side of the world. So let me move some lumber around. And for this, I'm gonna actually that'll be fine. That'll be fine. So basically, I'm going to use my Myrosol's preset settings, and all I'm doing is I want to put a slight bevel on my post, and the slight bevel is actually going to be on the top of the post. The reason why I'm doing a slight bevel on the top of the post is if the top of my post was flat, water could pool on it. Water could pool on it, and it can help initiate rot. But if I put a bevel and I have a slope, all the water is going to go to one side, and it's going to slide off. It won't pool. It won't do stuff I don't want it to do. So that's actually why we're putting bevels on the post, is to help shed water off the top of the post. And then for this cut, what I'm trying to do here is just make sure my board is set up in such a way to where I have I fully cut through my 4x4. So let's have some fun. And there we go. So that's the offcut. So this is basically scrap. So into our scrap pile. But with that, we have 1 post, 1 completed post. And then this bevel side, this is going to be the top of the post. And it should be tall. Yeah, it's tall enough. Hot dog. I figured it would be probably tall enough for this. And it's stable. Haha. But with that bit of sloping, all that water that hits the top of this is going to want to come this way, and it's going to drip off. Since it's cedar, it's never going to rot. Well, it will rot eventually, but it'll be rot resistant enough to the point where I don't have to worry about replacing these posts anytime that I'm overseeing this homestead. So that's a big benefit there. So I'm going to set this off to the side, and I'm going to grab the next post. Okay. And then now that we're mostly set up, let's go ahead and cut our end off. Woo! But yeah, this part was actually more on the outside of the tree, so as you can see, we didn't have a full bit amount of wood, but we still have ourselves a reasonably nice post. Granted, this bark really wants to come off, and you know what? Let this bark come off, because you know what? This bark is actually going to be really good for kindling, for fire, actually. Where's my knife? Grab a knife. Let's see if we can't get some of this. Because I can actually really, because you can actually really see the layer of where wood ends and bark begins. And it peels reasonably well. Reasonably well. Maybe not entirely well, but reasonably well. So let's see what we can do here. With all this, granted, we're gonna be getting a fair amount of strips, though. Strips of bark. But yeah. So. Posts. We have 2 posts now. And I also have cedar sap on my hands. So, I now have to figure out, I have pieces for the back. I now need the pieces that I'm putting this onto. And for that, I need to figure out its length. So this is roughly 15 inches. 15 inches from side to side. So the question becomes, how much wood do I want to have on either side? And I'm thinking about having 3 inches on either side, because my posts are nearly 3.5 inches. Well, I suppose I technically could do 3.5 inches on either side. So that'd be 7 inches plus by 15, that'd be 22. So we'll want 22-inch boards, and that'll give us 3 inches on either side. So let me grab another piece of cedar. While also, let's go ahead and reset this back to where it went before. Woo! Okay. Let's see, can I do... You know what? I can pull off the magic I want to pull off. And the magic I want to pull off is, I just want to cut off my end here, and then I can measure off that to figure out what my 22 inches of board is going to look like. Okay, remove scraps. Woo, it's getting dusty in here. I probably should have turned on the air filter. That's what I should have done. But I did not do that. So, that's 22 inches. And then I'm going to go ahead and speed square to make sure I have my line all the way across. That looks reasonably good. And then I just like to bring it down, test it, and then fine tune it. So let's go. So we got one board here. And then off this board, I'm going to lay it flush to the best of my abilities on one end. Then with my pencil, I'm going to make a scribe line across the board. And then that's going to be my mark for board 2. Okay, let's go. Woo! Okay. Let's see how these boards stack up. Ooh, okay. I'm reasonably happy with that. So we're reasonably flush here. As you can see, pretty flush. Go over to the other side. Pretty flush there too. So definitely more than good enough for a yard sign. So I now have to. This is honestly the part where I reveal that I may have not done the best preparation, and that is I actually have to get some fasteners. So pardon me for a moment, I'm going to go run grab some fasteners so that way we can actually attach these pieces to those pieces and actually make ourselves a proper signboard. Which I think for 2 cedar board, well, that's my 1.25 inches. That's going to sink in a bit more though. That actually should be sufficient. We're going to run with those. Those are drill bits. I need driving bits. Driving bits. And actually, give me a moment, I have to grab another thing. But it's not far. It is not far at all. Because here it is. John. Okay. Because now we're going to be moving on to the workbench. So, goodbye, miter saw coon. We are now at workbench coon, which you can kind of see my my little bit of a happy fun time. That's these glue spots. So basically what's happening here is I've got wood glue tacking up in my workbench because I pre-drilled holes for my carpentry vise but those holes were too small in diameter. But I have no easy way of making them bigger. So what I did is I put some painter's tape on the bottom, and then I filled them with a mixture of wood glue and sawdust. And then I'm going to let this tack up until it's nice and hard. And then, with actually having something a little bit of an actual meat to it, I should be able to re-drill these with my Fastener bits and throw in my bolts and get the bench vise actually secured. So that's what I'm hoping to do there. So here we have 2 boards. Now, I definitely want to have the unpretty faces, which for this is this one. This is reasonably pretty. That a little bit less so. So we're going to have the unpretty faces facing up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to line them up, sort of like what we have here now. And then I have this. And this is why you always keep your scraps, kids. Because when I attach this to these, oh wait, you actually can't see that. Okay, there we go. Now we can see the whole picture. So if I line this up with the edge of these 2 boards and hold that, and then I bring that in, this basically means my posts are going to sit right up against this board perfectly, ideally. I need a measuring device, and I want to check and make sure, because that's 3.5 at one end, and it's not 3.5 at the other. So this isn't square. So we're going to do that. Okay. Now that's square. Okay. I mean, granted, that's also one of the issues with using some of the scrap as a spacer, is it's not 100% accurate. So I need to get myself some drill bits. Then I need to find the right drill bit for today's screws. Which I think I got my answer here. So what I'm going to do is pre-drill 3 holes. And a big reason I'm doing this is cedar is a very brittle wood, i.e. it likes to break when you put fasteners into it. So in order to minimize that, we pre-drill holes. Okay, that's my right bit. Get this installed into good old Makita-kun here. And we'll drive some fasteners. That's gonna be 1. 2. And 3 fasteners. So that has securely mounted one plank to the other plank. So I want to make sure I get everything relined out before we get into the, well, you know, the next one. So we'll switch out bits, and we'll also repeat our pre-drilling, except this time this board's not going to want to move because we already got 3 screws in it. Whoa, what? That's 1. A 2. And a 3. So that reasonably should help reasonably hold these 2 together. And if we look at the other side, this will be our surface here that we can then mount our sign on. So I'm gonna turn this around. And then I'm gonna grab piece number 2. And then for piece number 2, I'm just going to eyeball it at first, and then find out that I can come over a little bit. And then we're going to measure that out. It's actually not bad. Okay, sweet. And basically these are just additional bracing for these 2 boards. You don't necessarily have to do what I'm doing here. Oh, that's, yeah, I'm drilling into a knot. Gotta be careful about drilling the knots. But by having additional bracing behind these 2 boards, it's going to make everything a lot more stable. And there we go. Just got that secured to that board. So let's pre-drill a few more. That's 1. That's 2. And now that's 3. So everything should be reasonably well held together. We can now flip it over and see that we have ourselves a nice, wonderful surface to mount our sign to. Which our sign has gotten very dusty. But yeah, that looks like it's framed very nicely. very nicely. How do I want to do this? Yeah, that's 1 3/4 inches. Okay, so that should be reasonably centered. How well do those go through? Those go through. Okay, okay. So, we're gonna pre-drill that, and then we're gonna pre-drill the other one. But for this, I want to use separate fasteners, so let me go grab those fasteners right quick. Now, where did I put those fasteners? Worst comes to worst, I can use 2-inch screws, which I think for today, we're gonna go ahead and use 2-inch screws. Just because with 2-inch screws, they'll go all the way through what I am currently presuming will be both layers of my material. So I want to make sure they go through both layers. So we'll just go ahead and get that going. I don't want to fully commit to my drill down until I make sure there's nothing behind this that these can get into. So one of my 2 fasteners got to here. The other one I don't see where it is. But actually, wait, where did I put my I had a broom once upon a time somewhere. Oh, that's why. That's why you can't find it, because it's in a... This is why I can't find a dang thing, because it's in a, because it was actually in a dustpan, and I couldn't see it readily. But yeah, this is actually nearly the completed project, and that's kind of like almost where we're at. However, though, this is gonna definitely be way too short of a stream if I just do this. So I am thinking about grabbing the posts, and what I want to do is I want to put a rabbit in them. So this is our horizontal that this horizontal will sit in, is what I'm thinking. And then our post will be here, and then over here. So we'll have our 2 posts. This will be we have plenty of meat on both sides of our thing, even though I now realize that's 3, less than 3.5. It's what, 3 3/8? No, it's even less than that. I don't know if I want to call it 3 1/4. It's 3 3/8 on that side, and then on this side, and on this side it's 3.5. But this is fine. This is fine. I I admittedly, when I was trying to center this, I was mostly worried about my horizontal positioning, not my side to side. I should have kind of worried about that, but I mean, this is literally really close because I've got 3.5 inches here and I have 3/8 over here. So that's really close as far as centering this thing on the signboard. Oh, sweet, sweet, delicious water. Sweet, magical water. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take this off to the side. And we're going to grab a post. Now, I got to think about my angle. What I mean by that is I want this angle here to be one side, and then I want this face here to be the face that I actually want to, like, to be the face I rabbit. So that's going to be, woo, that's going to be this face right here. Yeah, yep. And actually, I gotta, excuse me a moment, I have to brace things. But let me grab a clamp right quick, because I gotta put a clamp right here. And, woo! I'm probably gonna need 2 clamps on this, but that is fine. 2 clamps I will do. Here we go. Now that's reasonably supported. And we'll also, since this is going to be our viewpoint. So, I think we'll use this as our guide of sorts. I think there's good enough. Let me grab my pencil. And there we go. So we're going to reduce this surface from this line out to here by what should be 3/4 of an inch. Which, the thing is, my whole assembly is very unwieldy. But to figure out the thickness of my, confirm the thickness of my lumber, I actually want to be a hair bit past 3/4 of an inch, which would be, it's not quite 7/8. It's in the 16ths. It's 13/16 is the depth we want. So that's going to be that. And to accomplish this, I'm going to be relying on a trusted companion that I now realize, with the way everything is set up, is going to make a mess of things. But that's fine. That is more than fine. Granted, I'm not going to lie, half the purpose of the stream is literally just a test of the dual mic setup, so I'll be listening to the VOD later to see if I'm happy with the results. Okay, so I've actually got this set up for taking some pretty big bites. So, I don't know, can I actually wield this on? I can actually manage this, so I'm gonna go for this. So let's go. Let's see. Oh, looks like my chip catch got jammed. So give me a moment here to unclog it. Okay. Okay. Wow, I thought this thing would actually like hog material, but I don't know if this is actually going to be sufficient for the amount of material we want to cut, because we want to cut like more than 3/4 of an inch, but I don't want to do, that's a problem, I don't want to do a full setup with the, what is it, with the, with the pool saw, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, this is gonna take way too long, because I have the Makita set up to actually be taking some pretty big bites out of this, but man, I do love how sharp those blades are, though. I do like how sharp those blades are. Granted, I'm also trying to think of how to best do it in a way that doesn't result in me, well, of my options, I think I have one reasonably good option. One reasonably good option to make what's gonna kind of be this really weird rabbit I want to make. And you know what? Sure, let's go for it. So, I got some clamps to undo. I have a board here that we need to actually do some marking on. Kind of. And the big mark that we need to make is, I need to set my depth on this thing. So, I'm gonna figure out roughly where I want to be in terms of that. And honestly, 2 centimeters off that is more than sufficient for what I'm trying to do today. So let's grab this. And what I want is so everything above this line will be material to be removed. Should be decent. Problem is I don't have the most accurate reference surface right now. Hey now, hold. But I think that those lines are a little bit better for what we want. So my current game plan right now is I'm thinking about using the scale miter saw, and we're going to make a bunch of cuts all up and down this area where we want to remove material from, and we're going to space them. And then as far as cleanup goes, we can use the chisel to clean stuff up. That's the game plan right now. Granted, right now, I've also been setting a lot of stuff over there. So give me a moment to switch stuff around. Because boy, oh boy, do I gotta move some stuff around. Granted, this is also gonna make a lot of sawdust. Aww. Don't want that. That's a problem. Okay. Okay, well, I think I'm reasonably set up here, so let's bring the view back over to Myersol Coon. So, we're going to be working on finishing up this, because I think we're going to try and do this rabbit here, and then we'll see how this goes, and I will make some decisions from there. Okay. Oh, wait. This does not have power. The planer has power. The miter saw does not. So, I'll switch power over. And okay. So that's going to be... Okay, so I've already identified a weakness to the strategy. And that is, I need to have my piece of wood a little bit further away from my miter saw station. Because I'm not fully completing my cuts on the backside. But that is... There's an easy solution for that. It involves scrap lumber. That involves scrap lumber of a consistent thickness. And with 2 pieces of scrap, what I can do is that and that. Now I can keep my piece referenced. And then as I go through, my saw is now a little bit further back. It can now cut a little bit more thoroughly through. So that looks better. Wowzers, that's a lot of sawdust. And that was also a lot of noise. So, I hope that wasn't too terrible. So, I'm going to go ahead and what I want to do is flip this around. And then once we get it this somewhat supported here, get a piece of wood here. We'll bring this in, and then we'll start. We'll try to work on chiseling all this out. It's not acting like it wants to move, but I'm very distrustful of it. So, what I'm gonna do. Woo! You know what? Because what I'm wanting this to do is this to be a backstop when I'm chiseling this way. But I'm also going to turn on my air filter because there's a lot of dust in here right now. There is an egregious amount of dust right now. So let's grab a set of chisels and a handy dandy hammer. And let's start having a little bit of fun. Hopefully this will go easily. Not sure how well this will go. I don't know if I've cut it enough or not. Ooh. Well, looks like I definitely did a decent enough job. Because really, at the end of the day, all I want to do is make a rabbit that helps support the sign. Not trying to get too fancy, but it looks like I'm trying to get fancy, but I'm genuinely trying not to. Woo! Woo! I kicked up a lot of dust. I kicked up a lot of dust when I did that saw work. But, you know... Woo! Woo! Can I... Oh! Good old brittle cedar. Good old brittle cedar. But you know what? It's kind of making my life a little bit easier, so... Probably shouldn't be complaining too much. I probably should not be complaining too much. Okay, and... okay, okay. So that's your game there. I can live with that. Woo! Let's get some things back in view, and... Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. I was a little debating on whether I was going to be able to finish this out with that much meat on the end, but here we are. Okay, okay. One moment, one moment. I don't get many chances to bust out the 1.5" chisel, so. Pardon me if I can't help but feel a little bit excited. Man, I gotta say, I had my doubts at one point in time. At how well this would actually work out for a game plan. But I gotta say, like, this has actually worked out reasonably well. And that's actually enough. I mean, here's the thing. This may not really look like the cleanest of like rabbits, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take this. Like, I might want to take off a little bit more here. But past that, actually, I gotta come out with my chisel. But reasonably decent. Reasonably decent. Kind of glad I actually went a little deep with that first cut, because that's just like a nice place to break like the wood fibers and such. But I did all that work to create this little ledge, and what that little ledge is going to do is when my sign, this is just a small piece of it, goes in, it will be flush with the post. So it will be flush with the post, and then I'll have like my sign. It'll be great. I see a high spot. I'm just gonna shave that down. Because I like making wood shavings. I like making wood shavings a lot. As with most people, well, it depends. Depends on the woodworker. But as far as something that was like reasonably impromptu, I gotta say, that worked out. That worked out reasonably well. But having said that, I do feel like I was being a little bit sketch with the doing the cuts for this. So let me grab my sign. Oh, I gotta say, I do like this thing. Well, I gotta say, as far as like a project, I gotta say, as far as projects go, this has been a a reasonably easy and simple and straightforward project. I know this may have not perhaps been the best or more exciting project. I'm not going to do the other post. I'm actually going to probably go. I'm going to go ahead and end stream, just because one, I got to use the bathroom, but also because, well, we're pretty much done now. This was meant to be a simple and straightforward build. Nothing really all that complicated. Nothing with too many moving parts, and also to serve as a test for the dual mic setup. So I'm going to go ahead and end stream, mostly because in a way it's kind of a test stream. So I would like to say thank you everyone for tuning in today. Sorry, well, hey, today was kind of a short and sweet thing, but hey, I hope you all continue to be the best you that you can be, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Okay, bye-bye! Ugh. Yeah. That held battery.